Okay. We'll call the council meeting to order. And there is one addition to the minutes. It's a BIA, Wingham BIA executive meeting. And that is put into committee reports. Do I move over the agenda? Bailey and McGowan, all in favor? Carried. Declaration of pecuniary interest. None noted. For the Reeves report, I will leave that fairly short because there's a number of things to get through this evening. The one thing that is coming up, though, is that we have to check with the Horticultural Society and the Communities in Bloom people as to people that possibly 3 or 4 that would take a one-day shift manning the Huron County display at Communities in Bloom in Toronto. That between the county and the town of Godrich, there's a 4,000-foot display immediately inside the doors. That an excellent show placing of Huron County. That type of recognition and the number of people that will be through the Communities in Bloom in the 10-day run will be a very significant, I'll say, tourism plus to Huron County. Yeah, there's more later on in some of the reports. Moving to the reading of the minutes of the previous meetings.
So moved.
Campbell and McGowan, all in favor? Carried. Okay, deputations. Yeah. That Phil Baird, General Manager of Maitland Valley Conservation Authority, is here, and Phil's going to fill us in a little more on what all is happening and be available for questions.
Good evening, greetings and members of council. Bring greetings on behalf of our chair, Doug Schufelt, and Steve Jackson was supposed to be with me tonight, but he's taken ill, unfortunately, so I'm going to handle his part of the presentation. And I'm here to bring additional information further to our letter and package that we sent out to you back in December. So I've got a short presentation that I'd like to go through with council that I hope will help to answer some of your questions. And that to start out. So I've entitled this Developing Resilient Watersheds and Communities. What I'd like to do tonight is just to go through some background on why we were formed, the natural assets in the watershed, how we're changing our services, some of the watershed projects that we've been doing, projects we've done in North Huron, and of course our financial challenges. So first of all, conservation authorities were first developed back in the 1950s by the province at the request of municipalities. Municipalities wanted a way to work together on water-related issues that went beyond their municipal boundaries, such as flooding and water pollution. They recognized that by working together, they could reduce the potential for loss of life and property damage and social disruption, and better look after the rivers and streams that flow through their municipalities. And we're one of 36 conservation authorities in the province. We're owned and governed by the 15 municipalities in the watershed that cover parts of 4 counties. So the Maitland watershed is about 900,000 acres. Over half of that is prime agricultural land. We have some of the finest hardwood forests in Ontario, whose products are used all over North America. The Maitland is one of the best smallmouth bass fishing rivers in Ontario. And last but not least, the Lake Huron shoreline is sought after by cottagers for the beaches and the sunsets. There's probably over $500 million worth of shoreline development in our section of along the Lake Huron shoreline. And so this is what, these natural assets are an important part of our economy, and this is what our predecessors wanted to conserve in order to protect the prosperity of our communities and our economy. So this is what we try and focus on. And now Steve and I I'll go over some of the challenges that are affecting these assets and how we're changing our flood and erosion safety services to address some of these challenges. So one of the big changes that we're seeing over the last 50 years, changes in our climate to more isolated, short duration, high intensity rainfall events, less winter precipitation falling as snow and more as rain, except this winter when we're getting snow. Most snowfall we've had since 1982. So we're getting lots of this year. But compared to the 70s, we're not getting the snow that we used to, and fewer days below freezing, which increases the risks for runoff and erosion. And there's over $140 million worth of assessment located in the 15 towns and villages that are in floodplain areas. So there's an awful lot of assessment at risk. So these changes in precipitation patterns are increasing the potential for damage to land and municipal infrastructure, especially roads and bridges across the watershed. Just along the Lake Huron shoreline alone, that's a gully that's eating its way back from Lake Huron to Highway 21. We have the potential to lose 2,000 acres of land and $90 million worth of development if there's not stormwater development systems put in place to stop this gully erosion. One of the major priorities is to upgrade our flood forecasting system to reflect the increased potential for flooding. In the past, we usually just had plenty of time to get ready for flood events because it usually came with the spring melt. Now we can get a spring melt in December, January, February, and in March. And we can also get more opportunities for intense thunderstorms in the summer. In 2005, we had a 10-inch rainfall event that hit Molesworth. There's not much in Molesworth, so nobody heard much about it. If it had happened in Toronto, it would have been millions and millions of dollars worth of damage. A few years ago, we installed 5 rain gauges upstream of Harriston. Almost 2/3 of Harriston is located in the floodplain. There's potential for up to $15 million worth of damage in Harriston. So Minto wanted more time to be able to warn its residents and to do evacuation before the floodwaters get to Harriston. Over the past 2 years, our engineer Steve Jackson has completely redesigned our flood forecast system. Steve's put in 500 hours of his own time to redesign the system. He says some people like to watch TV at night. He says I like to work on this. So I'm not sure his wife's too happy, but that's what he's done. So the system's based on monitoring weather events and tracking rainfall associated with storm events. In the past, the emphasis was on monitoring river levels. Now rainfall and rapid snowmelt events can happen quickly and may only affect a small area of the watershed. So a different system was needed. So this hydrometric website that Steve's developed can be monitored 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, even when our staff are at home. So we have a staff assigned to work every weekend to monitor this system. This is a picture of one of the rain gauges that we've developed. They're solar powered with battery backup, and the signal goes to a satellite. We're switching from phone lines to the U.S. government is allowing us to use their satellite connection. So we're saving about $10,000 a year from not using phone lines. So that's a way to save money and improve our services. 11 gauges have been added over the past 5 years, bringing the total to 19 for the subbasins that impact Wingham. These gauges are upstream of Listowel and Harriston, which are 2 of our major flood damage centers. On the watershed stewardship extension side of things, we're restructuring our services to help landowners and municipalities redesign drainage systems in a way that will slow down the runoff so that it doesn't wash valuable topsoil and nutrients downstream. And this is a picture that we're doing just north of Port Albert in ACW, or Asheville, Colbert, and Wawanosh, where we're working with 40 landowners and 2 cottage associations over a 4,000-acre small watershed to put in a stormwater management system that will stop the gully erosion that you saw in that picture, protect the cottage development at the bottom end. There's potential for $1.8 million worth of development and land to be lost just between Highway 21 and the lake shore. So this is going to be a cooperative effort over about 7 or 8 years with those 40 landowners. But that's a picture of the first system that was put in last year. One of the other things we're trying to promote, especially with all the snowstorms that we've been seeing, is along Highway 21, the province is putting in living snow fences to help stop the drifting, and Wellington County has put in a similar program along some of their more vulnerable county roads. Now these programs are just starting. The trees are going to have to grow to be able to be effective in stopping the snow, but we're also encouraging Huron County to look into a similar program. We know how many county roads were closed with the last few snowstorms. I think the cost of the first storm was $150,000 to the county for clearing roads. We're also working with landowners to reforest marginal land and help them plant windbreaks that help improve the productivity of their crops and reduce wind erosion. Now I'll just go through a summary of the types of projects that we've done over the last 8 years. These are the 2 county clean water projects that we delivered. And I'll just ask you to turn to the big map that I handed out here before council. Got too many dots on it to be able to show it on the screen, but it reflects all of the projects that we've done with landowners over the past 8 years. These projects help landowners protect their natural assets and their wells. The majority of the projects were undertaken by private contractors, so these projects are also good for the local economy. And as you can see, over that past 8-year period, 1,381 projects completed. Approximately $7.5 million was the total value of those projects. And the top 3 were septics, wellhead protection, decommissioning, and fragile land retirement, which is basically reforestation. So just in North Huron alone, over that same period, 91 projects with a project value of over $500,000 in that same time period. And in 2013 alone, there was approximately $22,000 worth of projects. 2013 was quite a slow year because it was so wet. 2013 was the wettest year in over 40 years in terms of total precipitation. The year prior to that, 2012, was the driest year in over 30 years. So we've had this huge contrast over the last few years, and which we expect to continue. So in terms of activities in North Huron, we've undertaken a number of projects there, and I'm just going to highlight some of the major ones. The one is the Wingham River Flats Ecological Park project, which we started in the mid-1990s with the town of Wingham, and that was approximately a $250,000 project. During that same time period, we worked with the Village of Blythe and the committee to develop the Blythe Greenway Trail and do creek restoration work on the Blythe Creek. And out in the East Wawanosh Ward, we've been working on the Scott Municipal Drain Watershed Project with approximately 6 landowners, and there's been approximately $250,000 invested in that project, and over 600 people have been out to visit that project. So this is an example of the types of projects that we'd like to undertake to help control the runoff and stop soil erosion. And last but not least, in East Wawanosh, we have the Wawanosh Nature Center, which is a 400-acre property. In 2013, it was used by over 3,600 people for education programs, 450 people for community group activities, and 1,200 people attended the special events that we've had at that site. So it's a very well-used piece of property. Additional projects that we have done with North Huron are the release of the Galbraith Conservation Area to North Huron for the soccer fields. And more recently, we helped to arrange for graduate students from the University of Guelph to develop some conceptual plans for revitalizing the Wing Riverside Park. So we just wanted to show you that we have done a lot of work in North Huron and across the watershed. So our board believes that the more we plan for the future, sort of the better off we'll be. And all of our board are municipal councilors, just like yourself, wrestling with the same challenges. Our board's committed to try and stabilize our funding base for our services. The board's always trying to look 3 years ahead at our infrastructure and our equipment and operating needs, and they recognize that the levy increases must be kept to a reasonable level. Last October, our board identified, looked at our 3-year forecast, and we're looking at about $750,000 over the next 3 years that we need to try and strengthen our flood and erosion safety services and watershed stewardship, as well as to maintain our infrastructure, replace and upgrade equipment, and also to look after the 29 properties that we have, which is approximately 4,000 acres of land. So, as Jim knows, we have some huge challenges in front of us, and our board has challenged us to try and find ways to finance our capital and operating needs while keeping the levy increases in that $55,000 to $58,000 range. So when you look at the $750,000 and you look at the difference between what we think we can raise from our municipalities, we've got a huge challenge ahead of us. Over half of our budget comes from external funding sources, donations, service fees. Service fees are about 1/3 of our budget, and service delivery agreements that we have with other agencies. We're still operating with the same actual dollars that we had in the early 1990s while paying our expenses in 2014 dollars. A major challenge this year is that while the assessment across the watershed is up $1.7 billion from 6.5 to 7.1, much of this increase has occurred in the rural wards due to the increase in farmland values. So this has resulted in a major shift in how the levy is distributed, with more of the levy going to rural municipalities with a lot of high-value agricultural land, while urban areas such as Goderich are seeing their levy go down. So we recognize that a $4,600 increase to North Huron's levy is large from a percentage standpoint, but this is largely due to that shift in assessment. Our board is also in the process of restructuring our services to help us deal with the projected shortfall over the next 3 years. We're going to be focusing on doing fewer things better, and we'll be taking a draft plan for phase 1 of that restructuring to our board in March. So some of the things that our board is doing, for example, we're putting a request for proposal to lease out the Falls Reserve Conservation Area. There's between $400,000 and $1 million worth of infrastructure that needs to be invested there. We don't have that kind of money, so we're going to be looking to leasing out to the private sector to see if they want to take it over. So we're basically getting out of the camping business. We've put on hold trying to raise money for a new nature center at Wawanosh because we're not sure that we can afford to operate it, and we want to put more resources into flood and erosion safety services and watershed stewardship, because these are services that help protect the economic assets and development in the watershed. We're also looking at ways to reduce our grass cutting costs at our conservation areas. The bottom line is that business as usual is not an option for moving forward. So that's my presentation. I'd be happy to answer any questions that any of the councilors might have.
But on the increased agricultural land assessment, is the total assessed figure, or that agricultural land, the actual taxes collected are on 25% of the actual assessment?
My understanding is total assessment
That its total assessment comes into play.
in the municipality.
Thank you.
Now, the total assessment in the watershed is, it's always a year behind, $7.6 billion is total.
crop.
It's really comforting to know that you are, excuse me, changing for the time. I'm quite impressed with some of those tough changes, decisions you've made. Very much encouraged.
I just wanted to thank Phil for coming. I know, Jim does a good job in keeping us up to speed with what's going on with Maitland Valley, but it's a different thing to have you come and present with that statistical information. And I know Steve's very good at, you bump into him in the community, he'll rattle off all kinds of things. But it really paints a very clear picture of how much work you really are doing, so thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Definitely, thank you, Phil, and it's nice to see as many in the gallery here to see your presentation as well, rather than just us councillors sitting there. So,
Sorry, Neil, I do have one question for you, Phil, on something you just said. You said you were going to reduce your costs by cutting less grass. Where would you not be cutting the grass, and what is that, a 1% or a 5% effect on your budget?
It's more a time thing. At our admin center, for example, I think it takes one of our staff like 2 hours to cut the grass. We've got better things for him to do. So we're either going to put in the low mow turf where you only have to cut it maybe once a month, or we're going to plant it in trees and shrubs and plants. But it's mainly to free up staff time more than anything at our admin center. And in Gorey, where the municipality cuts it, we've got a committee working there of community citizens to look at naturalizing that area. But boy, it's hard to get people to give up the grass. They just love grass and they love to be out there and cut it. So that one's a really hard one. So in Gorey, they've got the committee butting heads on what the solution is.
Thank you.
James,
We have planted some of that grass in some of those places now, the low maintenance grass stuff.
No, we haven't.
We have, we've talked about it.
okay, by all means, those natural alternatives to different vegetation that doesn't require weekly grass cutting can cut costs. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Phil.
Okay, moving to business arising from previous meetings. The Maitland Valley Conservation Authority, having a lot more information that's come forward since our last meeting. Does council want to move forward with a motion on the suggested increase in budget, whether they're in favor or not? What is council's appetite? To move forward. Gowan, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Campbell seconds. Questions and discussion. I know it looks like a sizable increase percentage-wise for us, and with it tied to assessment and the way agricultural assessments are climbing in this 4-year cycle, that we're looking forward to another couple of years of increased assessment, so that will definitely carry through with increases both next year and the year after on assessment. But, Bob?
I'd just like to comment, I was shocked by this increase, and I think I was probably the first one that yelled about the rising costs, but I think we have to be realistic, and we have to do our share. It's affecting all of our municipalities, except for maybe Goderich in a negative way, but I think I'm in favor of it.
But we're sort of somewhere in the middle of the flood forecasting, and definitely with some of the other committees that are on through county that I've seen a bunch of the work done, especially on the garbage lens section that was shown in the display, and that hopefully it does slow down the farmland getting into the lake. So I
Just wondering if we did turn this down, can we really turn this down? Or is this another one that's just handed down to us? If we did turn it down, where would they go for the money? Would they just put it on the other municipalities? Or
No, you
no?
would still pay the same.
You have no choice, do you?
You would still pay the same, whether we as a council turn it
I guess that's the end of this discussion, John.
But in fairness, any time over the years that we've had concerns about it, Mainland Valley has been very transparent to come and have a conversation with us and explain, you know, in clear terms why it is what it is. In a number of years, they haven't had any increase at all,
very low.
so.
But the thing that is the same as the number of, that it just went so long that the increases are, if they're going to do the job, increases are inevitable. So that, James?
Getting out of the camping business was a real tough decision for Maitland Valley to do, because they've had the falls reserved for a lot of years, but we came to the conclusion that we are a conservation authority, we are not a campground. And so that's kind of the reason why they're getting out of the camping business.
That's mainly the decision that I was referring to.
Okay, if there's nothing further, all in favor of the motion? Carried. Basically, health and safety is what it is.
Yes, we had a meeting last week.
Moving to Director of Finance, there's a development charges report, which basically it is what it is. Is there any questions? Okay, moving on to recreation and facilities then. Oh,
Don't we need a motion for that?
oh, okay,
So I'll put a motion forward for the recommendation.
on the development charges. Okay, moved, Vaughn seconds. All in favor? Carried. Recreation and facilities, recreation February programs update.
Yeah, so thank you very much for giving us a chance to fill everybody in on what's been going on with some of our new winter programs. February is Heart Month, so we have a couple of special deals going on in February. We're offering 3 personal training sessions for just $88 up at the fitness center. We have a special program in the aquatic center where our evening aquafit class, you can bring a friend if you're a member and come, and they would get in for half price, and then there's prizes to be drawn at the end of the month for both the member and the visitors. So we're really trying to get North Huron active. Along with our business plan, we've also made strides in offering programs across the township, and we have in Blythe a boot camp class and a yoga class now being offered. And we're looking at continuing to expand so that everyone doesn't have to travel to our one center. We're trying to branch out and bring some satellite programs out to the communities. I handed out a number of other flyers about some specialty classes that we have going on, the Zumba Fusion, Tabata, intervals, and some other fun things. And I guess I wanted to hand out the color flyer today. The other thing we have is a nutrition simplified workshop. It's almost full, registered, but there is a couple spots left, I believe. And that's also based on our survey we did a year and a half ago. It was a request for more nutrition and cooking type classes. So I'm asking council to please, take these flyers to work with you and put them on the bulletin board, or hand them out at your next meeting and share the word about all of the programs that we have going at the North Huron recreation facilities. Just to let you know, we're also working on now the March break, which will feature our day camp as well as our famous road hockey tournament. So both those things will be coming up in March. And then we're already starting to put together our spring and summer programs, and looking forward to launching those and getting that it's hard to believe when you look outside that we're talking about day camp trips for the summer to Wonderland and stuff, but we already are and confirming all those plans. So I thought I'd just bring an update of some of the things going on, and of course, the most recent event to be coming soon is Family Fun-A-Palooza Winter Luge-a-thon. There are large posters in your community centers, and these flyers are going out to every school kid in the area, and they're up everywhere, and I challenge you to also spread the word about that activity. I know it was in your packages last week, but I didn't have the color posters yet, so I wanted to bring those today. That's all I really wanted to share today.
Well, thank you, Pat. There's a lot of information in the posters, and the Family Fun Palooza-thon Winter Luge. It's a lot of words, but it's a great weekend, and basically it's something that all families can join in on, and it's one of those things that isn't that costly. It's getting there that costs, and so that I know that especially at Belgrade, the sleigh rides went over extremely well last year, so that the number of other things.
Can I
Okay.
just add a quick thing that although it's called Family Fun-A-Palooza, it's for everybody in North Huron, singles, couples, seniors with their grandkids. It's for every kind and shape of family. There's breakfast, there's skating, there's all sorts of activities. So don't let the name fool you. It's family day, but it's for everybody. Thanks.
Certainly. Okay, we will come back to point 4, that David will be here soon, but he isn't here right now. Moving to new business, there's some points there. Basically, while it's not fiduciary conflict of interest, I will not be voting if there's a motion on point 2 in the new business. Huron Plowmen's Association, as I am first vice president of that group, so I will not be voting on any motion dealing with it. And their request for the usual grant that goes to the Huron County plowing match. Gary.
Just a comment on point number 1. Certainly our Director of Finance and myself would appreciate having council support of Mr. Pettipies' resolution. I think Mr. Pettipies mentions in his letter this is should be viewed as a nonpartisan initiative. This issue of joint and several liability is really impacting municipal insurance premiums in a big way. And I think I feel it would be important and helpful for council to continue to advocate the importance of seeing some sort of action on this issue. So I would certainly appreciate seeing council support.
Brock?
I would move that you support this suggestion by the member, and that we, in addition to writing to him, notifying him of our support, that we send a resolution copy to the member, our member of the legislature.
Okay, you're seconding, Rick? Okay. Any further discussion on that motion? All in favor? Okay. Right.
I would make a motion on the second one for the contribution to the Huron Plowmen's Association.
Okay.
As we did before, yeah.
And Campbell seconds. Any discussion? All in favor? Carried.
First, I make a motion on item number 4 with regards to waiving the rental fee for the Boy and His Dog fundraising event.
Okay, Bailey seconds. Any discussion? All in favor? Carried.
I'll make a motion actually on item number 5 as well, allow the Ironman executive to hang a banner along with the approval of the director behind the bench for their 40th anniversary for the William Iron.
favor of the motion? Carried. Rob?
We didn't make a motion on the number 2.
Yeah.
Yes, we
What
did.
way did that?
Number 3.
It's number 3 that we haven't.
Oh, right.
We,
I'll make a motion to support that.
support number 3. Seconder? We got one. Any discussion? All in favor? Carried. Moving forward to council information, councilors may bring any of these points forward. Right,
Yeah, on page 5, the
accounts, or
accounts, yes. Header's fuel, $6,449 for a pump. Is this,
Pat?
Yes, that is for repairing of our tank at the airport. And we had money in the maintenance account in our repairs and maintenance at the airport, and that is what it's for. It's the pump was no longer working properly for the fuel tank.
For selling the aviation fuel.
just another question, how, like the maintenance on that pump, how long has that pump lasted, or how often do we have to replace one?
I think it has been there since the airport opened, which I'm trying to remember the year, 94, 96? And we're actually, we've had it repaired a few times, and it's to the point where if we continue to repair it, it's becoming too costly. So they are bringing in some parts and secondhand parts to help keep the cost down as much as possible to replace this pump. But I'm confident that they're going to give us the warranty and things that we need to make sure that this pump is working through Edward Fuels.
So we have to own this pump, do we?
We own the tanks and the pumps and everything out at the airport, yes. For the fuel. They were purchased at the time and installed at the time the airport was open.
Rob?
I have a question about an expense on page 4. Repair, reimbursement for repair, car repairs, sorry. Wondered, what is that about? Page 4, top of page 4.
Can you speak to that, Jackie?
That's Constable Kevin McAdam with Wing and Police Service, and he was taking the administration car from the police service to a meeting and it broke down, and he had to pay out of pocket to put a water pump in it.
I think that's a reasonable payment.
I know for point number 2, Maitland Valley Conservation Authority annual meeting, February 19th, that James will be there, I expect. Do we have anybody else?
I'm going to.
You'll go too? Right, and good then?
Yes, one more on page 12, the Sucan, Tariff 21, Vladimir Hall, what's that?
SOCAN, which is a fee we pay annually for both facilities in North Huron, the rec centers, to be able to play music, whether it's in the fitness center or during public skating or the hockey games. It's an annual tariff that we must pay for each facility. I can't remember what SOCAN stands for artists are paid for the music played.
Sure, if we could have council consideration of point number 7, specifically the Communities of Bloom show in Toronto. Connie Goodall and I have spoken with a couple of local volunteers with the Horticultural Society who have expressed an interest in both of us to attend this conference and to volunteer at the County of Huron booth, but they would like council to extend a reconsideration to assisting with some of the travel and accommodation expenses that they would incur. We're definitely keen to be volunteer and represent North Huron at the County of Huron booth in Toronto.
I'd make that a motion. There is a fee. Do you know what the fee is to put down?
Well, it would be mileage or for going down, and as to if they were staying overnight, accommodation and meals.
I'll second the motion.
Okay. Any further discussion?
How much does this cost, Mike, per person to go down to volunteer?
Well, I expect they would be going down together in one vehicle, and Gary, do you want to elaborate?
Just going to mention that we received correspondence from the Huron County Warden, and it states that the approximate cost of one volunteer sharing a ride and room with someone is between $250 and $300 per person. Perhaps if the council motion could speak to how many.
Do you have more than 2, or is it just 2 at this time?
According to Ann Inglis, she insinuated that there was about 3 that were very interested. Connie and I have only spoken. Connie, did you want to clarify this?
Oh, I'm good.
Okay, I think it was around 3.
Yeah, I believe that they're asking for 4, are they not? Up to 4.
2 to
from what I
4.
hear. Yeah, 2 to 4.
For municipality.
Okay.
That's what it is.
So it could be approved for.
So 2 more with you and Connie, 6 total?
No, not Connie and Gary
Okay.
at all.
Okay.
It's ones that are in horticulture, be able to talk about the display, and they will be passing out the Huron County tourist guides and all of those things. Brock?
I know from experience that there will be gazillion of people through this. It's a great exposure.
It is one of the biggest attended things in Toronto.
Just through your worship, is this an opportunity for us to be able to market our own municipality as well while we're there, to some extent?
The ones there could definitely put in a good word for North Huron and our own William and Blythe horticultural societies, because they would be representing William and Blythe horticultural societies. So,
There's a motion on the floor.
Yeah.
Moved by
So
Councilor.
have we got this correct? So there's 3 going down plus Connie?
no.
No, she's not going to all, you're not,
That
okay.
It's
So
just
it's for
people to
3?
man the display, or, I'm not sure, politically correctly, 3 people
Yeah,
that would
okay.
work at the display.
So Gary, could you read back the motion with the, so when we come back to that motion?
There's a request to have North Huron Council approve the costs of 3 volunteers to attend the Canada Bloom Show in Toronto from March 14th to 23rd. And that contribution of $300 per person be made towards travel and accommodation.
Their costs because of the everybody clear on that? All in favor of the motion? Carried?
This will be on proper expense forms, right?
Yes. And I think there's scheduling coming up around the 10th, somewhere around the 10th, that they hope to do the scheduling, so that we will forward the names and possible preferences as to when they would be able to go. Okay. Is it, Brock, is there any other
To
points?
read, order, and file these items
Okay.
and communications.
Okay, any other seconds? All in favor? Carried. Okay. Moving to committee reports, is the Blythe DIA minutes. Is there any questions or comments? Moving to North Huron Police Services Board, January 21st meeting. Comments or questions?
Nothing really significant to report, Your Worship. The one thing is that they are arranging through our local ministry advisors some training for the board reps.
Okay, that sounds good. Okay. Also, point 3, Wingham BIA executive meeting from January 30th. Councillor Bailey, is there anything, or just answer questions if there is any?
Very well put down, I'll answer any questions if there are.
Okay, the fire department of North Huron report is being distributed right now. Give you a couple of seconds to get your breath.
The hockey playoff schedule is set and we're ready for fires. Just a few general comments with regards to the report that's going out. For those of you who get the report on the monthly basis, you'll notice that the number of pages this month is maybe a little bit thicker than usual. January of this year has been the busiest month since FD&H was established as a fire department. And one of the questions a few people have asked is, well, is it all car accidents? Is it all medicals? Is it all chimney fires? And the honest answer is that we had 24 incidents in January. As a perspective, our busiest month in 2013 had 18. Of those 24 incidents, there is not one category that is disproportionately out of whack compared to normal. It's just a matter of we're busy on all fronts. But a couple things I do want to highlight, and the one thing that we're trying to really stress is carbon monoxide. And there's been lots of discussions about CO because of the new legislation in Ontario. But as a department, in the month of January, we had 2 incidents where people went to the hospital for medical attention as a result of carbon monoxide or possible carbon monoxide exposure. And it's very serious. Across our county, outside of our own fire area, there have been some very serious carbon monoxide poisonings. And it's a reflection of the fact we've got a really harsh winter with a lot of snow. Most newer appliances going into homes vent out through the walls as opposed to out the chimney. And with the snowfall, with the blowing snow, with snow coming off of roofs, we've got pipes being damaged, being plugged, and the result can be quite serious. So despite the fact we're busy on all fronts, the thing that really jumps off the page for us is the, both in December and in the start of 2014, is the amount of carbon monoxide calls we're responding to where there is actually carbon monoxide present or other fumes present in the residence as a result of the weather conditions. As an adjunct to that, when you look at the training, and this is purely coincidental, FDNH in mid-January undertook to have a carbon monoxide program delivered to all of our firefighters. There's only one recognized program in North America for carbon monoxide training. The instructor's from Ontario, but he goes all over the country and the continent delivering his program. And because of the new legislation coming in, we thought it'd be prudent to have this program delivered. When this was booked, little did we know we'd have a harsh winter or we'd have a real run on carbon monoxide calls. But the completion of this training for our firefighters, in light of the winter we're having, has proven both very timely and very beneficial. And to the best of our knowledge, we are the only fire department in this part of Ontario, in Midwestern Ontario, that has endeavored to get all of our personnel trained to this level. And the very first incident we had subsequent to that training, some of the information and the knowledge that our firefighters had gotten from that course helped us determine CO levels in the house that would have been there prior to our arrival, and resulted in a lady who was pregnant going to the hospital to be checked out because, not because of levels when we got there, but because the levels had been there through the night that our firefighters now have the skills to determine what they were. So for us, that was just good fortune and good timing. For our residents and for our firefighters both, it's a real benefit because it just means that when we respond to these calls, we bring a better toolkit and better skill set with us than we did prior to it. The other thing you'll notice on the weekly training, one of the things we're working on this year is as building construction changes, or has changed, as the fuel load, in other words, all the fixtures and furnishings inside buildings change, firefighting techniques and tactics have to change. And one of the things we're endeavoring to do in the first quarter of this year is work on contemporary structure firefighting, because this isn't the same house that I grew up in terms of a structure fire. And we need to make sure our firefighters have the skill sets to work on modern buildings as well as the fire service term's legacy or older buildings. And so we started that, and that is going to continue over the next 2 months with various training programs we have scheduled. Only other highlight I would note is that for several years now, the Blythe station has had a utility vehicle, side-by-side if you like, was originally donated by the Firefighters Association in Blythe. And over the last few weeks, we've got it outfitted with skis and tracks, as opposed to the wheels it used to have. So in wintertime, we were able to get out and use it on trails and other places where in the past we couldn't. Other than that, if you look at the back map, you'll see our calls truly are all over the place. And as you go through the incident list, you'll find that the mix is pretty comprehensive and pretty typical. It's just a whole lot more than usual.
Thank you, David. Thank you for the emphasis on carbon monoxide, because I know of one incident within the county, not within our coverage area, but a new house, new furnace, but just the way the winds were, the exhaust got fed into the air exchanger, and that it was a serious problem, but it was not a fatality. So that there's so many things, and that that's just one reason why smoke alarms are definitely required. Like even in a brand new house, new furnace, there can be things happen, so that we definitely look at having at least one good working carbon monoxide in a detector in a house is just good planning for a family. Okay, any questions from council? Garrett.
David, I wonder if you could update council and the community on the transition to the NFPA standards for April 1st, and perhaps just give a very brief overview of what that means.
Sure. The province of Ontario last year decided to switch to the NFPA, which is the North American standard curriculum. Outside of Ontario, everybody else uses it, but in Ontario for about 20 years we've run up our own curriculum for training firefighters, for training fire officers. As of April 1st, Ontario will be switching to the NFPA standard, the same as other departments in other provinces and states across the continent. Long term, it's a very good thing. Having the same program as everybody else does means we'll be able to get access to resources and programs that everybody else has and uses. Short term for the ESTC, it means that when we open March 1st, we are incredibly busy because the April 1st date is set in, as I was told, it was set in granite. So it's not a movable date. And what we're seeing is a lot of fire services trying to get their firefighters or trying to get their officers trained to a certain level under the Ontario curriculum so that when the new NFPA curriculum comes in, they can be grandfathered over to it. If you are missing a single course or a course required for your officer or your firefighter accreditation, and that is not completed prior to the changeover, there is a very real risk that you could wind up with your previous training being somewhat applicable but not fully, and there is a concern from chiefs everywhere that they'll wind up with time, money, and resources applied to training that may not carry over well. Fire Marshal's office last week released what the grandfathering is, which end of January for an April 1st transition has got people really sort of anxious because it's a tight window. But the reality is that ESTC and the fire services work with Ontario Fire College, which has got a very dedicated, hardworking group of people, but this is a huge project. And I can't speak in their behalf, but I think for the amount of stuff they have to push through, it's a lot of work for their staff, and I think it's putting a lot of pressure on them for this April 1st deadline. So we've known it's coming, but the actual grandfathering and what becomes what under the new curriculum was just released last week. So end of January to April 1st is a tight timeline. And I do know Stephanie at the ESTC has been getting phone calls since that came out with fire chiefs saying, I just need this one course. We've got a course, I believe it's this weekend or next weekend. It's a very specific company officer course, and there are about 15 people called and said, I just need this one course. If I don't have it, I'm not going to be grandfatherable over to the NFPA standard. And we're starting to get lots of those phone calls with the grandfathering information coming out. FD&H as a department, likewise, knowing this was coming last year and knowing it's coming this year, much the same as other chiefs, we're working real hard to ensure that all of our people come April 1st will have all the required courses to be grandfathered over to the new curriculum. Some it's experience-based. We'll get you some plus your existing training. but with our recruit classes and so forth, there isn't the experience there, which means we have to do more of the credentialed training to get them there. So certainly between now and April 1st, it's a full tilt run or sprint to the transition. And we're actually expecting after the April 1st transition, for a month or two, it's going to be like everybody's just catching their breath, sort of reassessing where they are, what they need to do, and then sort of pick up and start running again with the new NFPA curriculum. As far as our department, we will have all of our firefighters trained to whatever the requirements may be as an officer or as a firefighter prior to the grandfathering expiration of April 1st. But it does mean our fire personnel are doing a lot of training and working real hard, especially the younger guys younger firefighters who may not have the experience to back it up in order to meet that deadline. And, I think all training is good training. This is just a lot of training in a condensed window to make sure that we get the value of the previous training we've done for our personnel.
Any questions or comments from council? Okay. Moving to bylaw number 7, 2014, being a bylaw to amend various fees of the township of North Curie.
First, second, and third.
Campbell and Bailey. Any discussion? All in favor? Carried. Bylaw number 9, 2014, being a bylaw to authorize the designated official to execute a memorandum of agreement between Firemaster Oilfield Services, Inc., bracket, Firemaster, and the Emergency Services Training Center, ESTC, for training services. Ross.
So moved. First, second, and third.
And Bailey seconds. And David, do you want to just give an overview of what we're doing here?
Well, the ESTC for the last 10 years has had a really strong working relationship with municipal emergency services, primarily on the fire services side. We do run out of facilities, some for EMS. This year, for the first time, we're going to have some specific courses offered in the classrooms at ESTC. But one of the things that we've started to find is that there's an industrial fire need for training out there. And last year, through a series of events, ESTC got connected with Firemaster from Red Deer, Alberta. Firemaster is a very large, very well recognized industrial fire training company in Alberta, but they have no presence in Ontario. So last year we did our first course with Firemaster to Enbridge Energy, and subsequent to that, there's an interest from Firemaster in having a provider of their services in Ontario. For the ESTC, there was an interest in having industrial fire training, because it's the same props, same everything, it's just industry, not municipal fire services. And the net result is we're able to come to a mutual agreement where the ESTC will be the exclusive Firemaster training provider in Ontario. We said it's a huge win for the ESTC. Kudos go to Stephanie Curry for relentlessly pursuing this. And while we don't know exactly what it means, we do know that when we go out to talk to industry now about industrial fire training, we're providing courses that are developed and maintained to a standard on our behalf by Firemaster. And we're going to have instructors that are at their standard. So all of the stuff that we want to back up the courses there. And at the same time, we're offering a name brand. ESTC could walk into a facility in Sarnia and say, yes, we can do your industrial fire training, but now we walk in and we say we're representing Firemaster. It brings a whole different level of credibility to what we offer. And for us, it brings a peace of mind. The course offerings will be backed up by the proper training for our instructors and the proper materials for our students, so that we're offering a quality program that would reflect what Firemaster and ESTC we both want to stand for. So, huge one and very exciting opportunity.
James?
Will we have our own instructors trained to do the training? Or are we bringing somebody from Red Deer?
Yeah, they came last year and qualified 3 of our instructors for the first course offering. One of our firefighters out of our Wingham station was a Firemaster instructor in Alberta when he was out there, so he already has some of their credentials. And they will come back when we're doing specific courses, not only to work with our instructors, but to ensure our props are doing and creating the fire situations that they want and that the industry would need to see. So they will be back again to do further training with our people.
If there's no other discussion, all those in favor? Carried. Council reports or inquiries? Brock?
Following our last meeting in January, I decided that perhaps it's time that we remind ourselves of some of our code of conduct issues and some of the items from our procedural bylaw. And so I'd just like to read one of the item number 41 in procedural manual. When a member is speaking, no other member shall pass between the member and the reeve or interrupt the member except to raise a point of order. So I would just like to say that if I interrupt another member during a meeting, I expect, Reeve Vincent, that you will stop me, name me, and suggest that I should be quiet. And then you will refer to the interrupted member and ask that member to proceed with what he was saying. So I'd just like us to remind that. I think I need to be reminded of it as well. But I think that it was perhaps timely.
Okay. Yeah, Councilor Bailey.
Just want to bring something up. I put a proposal for you folks about 3 weeks ago. In our next council meeting, we said we'd sleep on it for a while. In our next council meeting, I'm going to bring the question back again. I'm not going to do the whole presentation. We're all aware of the presentation. And I'd like each councillor to give his opinion on my ideas and where he feels or that he could improve on it or dislike it. I guess what I'm saying is I would really like you guys to really think about what I've said. And instead of just saying yes or no, saying, I think it's a good idea and we could do this and this and this, or we should go down this avenue. Or I think it's a bad idea because I have a better idea. I live in a world of you're either the problem or the solution. There's never anything in between for me. And so I put a solution forward and I put the groundwork down the way I feel it should go. And I just would really love if 6 other members of this council would have their opinion, state why they don't like it or do like it, and if we should move forward. I am simply asking to have it sent on to the staff to look into. I'm not asking to pursue what I brought forward, just to look into this idea and moving forward. Okay, and that's it for tonight.
Just to confirm, Councillor, is this regarding your industrial land strategy?
Yes,
So
yes,
your
including the land around the airport.
I know that our Director of Recreational Facilities will be bringing some information forward at the February 18th council meeting specific to the airport.
Okay,
If I may, when I ask this question, I would like it to be involving the 7 elected members of council. We have to make these decisions, and the decisions we make should go forward to our staff, and our staff should look at them. I just want to put that out there.
okay, it's in there. Okay, Ray, you was, anything?
Yeah, correct me if I'm, this is about selling the airport, Bernie, or do you want to enlarge on it to,
Well,
set your, make,
yeah, the presentation that he made as to doing something to try and develop some way of having development plans that the municipality could have ready to go.
If you don't mind, I'll give a brief, So a brief overview is the fact that we're looking at 220 acres that's sitting in Morris Turnberry Township that we're paying taxes to Morris Turnberry, and we cannot build on. I don't see a reason to keep that land. So I'm suggesting that that land be sold off, and we take those proceeds and we build an industrial lot in Morris, or in East Wabash, because that is our land and all the taxes would come to us. Any development we do at the airport or the airport land is simply going to give a better tax base to Morris Turnberry, and I believe that everybody that works for North Huron should be working for North Huron, as I do as a council.
Clear?
yeah, clear, and I think, at this point, I'd be very supportive of selling the property at the airport. With what I know, we're going to be bringing back some more information, but it would make sense to me for sell a good priced farmland that's there today and move on and buy something that we could develop, it's already zoned, and that we could have ready for industrial land. To me, it would only make sense at this point. We're going to come back with more information, but that's my feeling right now. Yes, I'd be supportive of that right now. Yes.
More information will be forthcoming, so I think that's probably enough. Or
I'd like
quickly?
to clarify a question a little bit. Are you suggesting selling the airport or just the land around it?
I'm going to suggest the airport, the land around the airport. And having said that, again, I don't really want to get into a nut and bolt discussion now or in 2 weeks. I think we should take that information, hand it over to our staff, and have them bring the recommendations back. Having said that, at the end of the day, it's the 7 elected councilors that need to make the decision, and our staff need to be guided by the decision we make in the long run.
I fully agree with that, and that's the way we operate. But what I said during your presentation was that that's a very, very important issue that you've raised, and I think we need to take a serious look at the economic development that we can do across North Huron in many aspects, and certainly the airport would be part of that examination. But realistically, we don't have any land in this very northern part of North Huron to create an industrial park. And we have some difficulty with East Waminash in the sense that we have a river between our system and theirs. So there's an issue of supplying services to whatever land that we look at. So there are a lot of things to look at, and I'm not wanting to get into the nitty-gritty of it either tonight, but certainly we need to look seriously at the issue that you raised.
Okay.
Just a quick point on that, Terry. I know that our staff have received inquiries from the landowner who rents that, or we're the landowner, but we have received a couple of calls from the individual who farms that land, wondering what council's position is on the possibility of selling the land as a result of some media coverage of the previous council meeting. So, because regardless of what council does, I think there should be some some sort of definitive statement at the next council meeting, because I think we're getting a lot of questions as to, has council firm on the agreement that was signed?
Definitive statement, we do have a rental agreement that would carry it into a 3-year, so that basically that if there was any sale, that rental agreement would have to be carried through.
We appreciate that confirmation, and I know we've received calls from, I think, one of the hangar owners looking for clarification as a result of the media stories.
Yeah.
Just
fine.
FYI.
That's good, everybody's talking, that's what I want.
Okay. If that's all for council, moving to clerk administrator's report.
Okay, thank you, Reeve. Just want to confirm that the servicing meeting between North Huron and Morris Turnberry is confirmed for Monday, February 10th at 7 p.m. And that meeting will take place at the Belgrade Community Center. And it will be an open meeting. I wonder if we could have a council motion authorizing that it be a special council meeting with Morris Turnberry.
Councilor Daly and Councilor Halligan. All in favor? Carried.
Also, just a reminder that our next budget meeting is scheduled for Wednesday, February 12th, North Huron Council Chambers at 7 o'clock. That's next Wednesday. Also wanted to mention that we've been able to secure a meeting with Minister Eric Hoskins, who is the Minister of Economic Development and Trade for the province. That meeting will be taking place at the upcoming Roma Good Roads Convention in Toronto. And the purpose of that meeting will be to highlight the Wingham and Industrial Land Strategy. And there will be representatives there from North Huron, Morris Turnberry, as well as representatives from the county that will be part of a delegation meeting with the minister. Also wanted to mention that the Municipal Property Assessment Corporation is working with municipal partners on a new website that would allow voters to confirm and update their information online. There's a pilot project. The website is voterlookup.ca, and if the pilot goes as anticipated, this new service would replace the traditional enumeration process, and ostensibly would improve the quality of the preliminary list of electors. So clerks are very excited by this, and I know we talked about issues that we had with the North Huron list in 2010. So I think this will help to correct that. We're also going to develop our own process to make sure we have an up-to-date list. But this will only help to strengthen the list.
Are we going to do some advertising on this to make the voters aware of this?
Most definitely. Once there is consensus that this pilot project has been a success, most definitely we want to advertise the fact, encourage people to go to this website, voterlookup.ca, and see if they're on the voters list for the township. I provided council with a copy of an article that appeared in a publication in the University of Alberta. It's written by Ken Coates, who was a professor at the he was actually a professor at the University of Saskatchewan, and he talks about the challenges facing rural communities, but he also talks about the economic development opportunities facing rural communities, and he calls for an innovation revolution in rural communities that requires young people, bright, entrepreneurial, and innovative, who are committed to their home region. I was thinking of people like Doug Culbert and the work that he's done locally in terms of technology. I know Connie Goodall is working on a project with the province, a repatriation program that I think applies to what this is about. Professor Coates also talks about the importance of drawing on creativity, and I'm thinking of the work that's going on in Blythe right now, where they're developing a creative economy and leveraging the cultural assets in that community. And there's all kinds of possibilities for what could be done at the former Blythe Public School. So I would encourage you to read Professor Coates' article, and so it talks about the challenges, but it also identifies economic opportunities for rural communities. And I think at North Huron we've got a lot of good things going on that speak to some of the innovation that he speaks to. Okay, that's all I have. Thank you.
Okay. Before I, pardon me, go to the public gallery questions and or comments, this is meant to be questions of clarification of things that we have dealt with in this meeting, or comments as to how you feel about, and that we will try and keep those questions and comments to the subjects that have been discussed tonight. If there's other questions on other subjects that may have been dealt with in another council meeting, I would appreciate those possibly coming to us either after the meeting or directly to staff as that they are available on a daily basis. That this was meant as to make it so that the gallery could be part of the subjects that were in the package, and let council know that their opinions, pro or con, on the subjects that we have background notes on with us this evening as to what things are, so that we will have public gallery questions and or comments at this time, and that please announce your name so that we can have that properly recorded. Trevor?
Yes, my Trevor site. From you read to Dave, our chief, is there a way that your report can be made available to the public? Like, I don't know whether it's part of the after, because I don't see your report, like, as a public person. I gotta get the agenda.
Sure.
But it's just a matter, I don't see it. So I don't know whether it can be part of the package after or something.
No, absolutely. This isn't intended to be like a secret. The gallery doesn't get to see a document. Understand though, it's for the first council meeting of the month. For me to generate this, typically I'm closing out the previous month, and then I'm usually just relieved to have it done in time for the council meeting. Yeah. My concern is if I have it to the second council meeting of the, sorry, funk. Yeah. If I have it for the second council meeting in February, for example, some of the stuff from early January seems like a lifetime ago. But by all means, this isn't intended to be a private or confidential document. In terms of distribution, if you'd like, I can have extra or additional copies left at the back there that would be available. But you'll notice that usually council is getting it just at the time of the meeting because of the sort of time parameters I have to get it completed.
Like, even if it's attached to onto the website, like, or like with the minutes or whatever, just something that so people can have access to it.
But it, most definitely that it can be put on with the minutes.
Thank you. And through you to Gary, how is that pilot project, how is for the voters list, how is it going to mitigate the non-technical, like if they're, the idea if it's going to replace the mailed out version, for a person who's not technical, doesn't own a computer, how are they going to mitigate that? Like, if they're replacing this with technical, like for me it's great. I don't want to see paper. But for somebody else it may not be great. So have you heard any plan on that?
We will provide copies of the electors list at the municipal office so that a resident could come into the municipal office during normal hours and see if they're on the voters list. And if not, staff would be able to assist that person in putting them on the voters list with proper identification and so on. At the end of the day, it's up to the resident to either go to this website, or come into the municipal office. It's up to the voter just to confirm if they're on the voters list. That being said, myself and our staff want to have a thorough review of the voters list to remove any folks that deceased and, or that have moved that we know about. We want to make sure that we have good lists prior to election.
Brock?
I'd just like to add that, as I recall, candidates for office get a copy of their voters list, so people could call them and see if they're on the list. So, I mean, for the people who aren't on the internet or aren't using a computer, life pretty much goes on the same as it used to. And those regular sources are still available. Candidates for the municipal office.
Okay, and I'll just add, not meaning to put a lot of work to our 2 library branches in North Huron, but especially over here, they are very good in helping computer challenged people look up something like that, and that I know that they, as a matter of fact, they routinely help people get to the right place and get the information they need off the computers at the library across here.
Okay, thank you.
My name is Terry. I've got 4 things I want to discuss. First one's going to be the Maitland Valley Conservation Authority. As Gary knows, for 3 years I've been trying to get my ditch dug out for the property, and the conservation's going on about water quality, erosion, and everything else, but the town has been flooding out my property at the front of my property for 3 years. And 3 years ago, they were ordered by Oceans Fisheries to replace a culvert and make a swale. And I hear Phil Bird in here tonight talking about how they're preventing all of this. Well, for 3 years, I've been emailing Gary, Phil Beard, and other council in regards to this, and you just keep passing off money all the time to everybody. This is our money. And to make matters worse, you guys sent a letter out to my house in regards to it, saying that I broke the law. You flooded out my property. Phil Bird was up here giving a speech saying they're going to control erosion. You guys flooded out my property. I got trout in my farmland. Trout in my farmland because you guys went upstream with it. And I had to pay for a permit that they never come to inspect. So, I just found
Terry, there are differing points of view on what's going on there, and this is a legal matter, and that's all I'm going to say on that particular issue.
It's amazing though. 3 years I've been asking to have it done. 3 years. 3 years I've been asking to have it done. 2.5. It's going to be 3 years in June. Anyways, it's just weird that...
I received your phone message, by the way, and I found it quite offensive.
Pardon me?
I received your phone message last week, and I found it very offensive.
How do you think I feel not to pull trout on my field? Everybody wants to save erosions and everything else, but when it was done incorrectly, it was flooding on my property that I couldn't plant anything there. And the only thing that was being planted was trout. So
it's a legal matter, Terry, that you're aware of, and that's all I'm going to say.
I just don't understand that you just keep giving out money to a conservation authority that's not doing their job, but they keep raising everything up. That's the point I'm going to make on that one. I believe that the cost that you got for the volunteers to go to this thing in Toronto, it's volunteer. I volunteer. I don't get paid. I don't get paid for mileage to go to places. If they really want to go there and support the community, they should be doing it out of the goodness of their heart, not to look for. They're going to go to Toronto, so they're going to probably do some personal stuff on top of it, but they're going to get paid to go down there. I think it's wrong to use public's money to let somebody go somewhere. Yeah, they're going to do something for the community. That's fine. But if they want to do it out of goodness of heart, that's fine. Let them do it out of goodness of heart. Don't pay them to go down there. Why pay them to go down? They want to go down. Let them go. If they want to go, let them go. If they want money to go there, they shouldn't be asking for it. I think it's wrong. You got leaky roofs that need to be fixed, but you're going to go with $300 up to 4 people. It's $1,200. That's my money that I pay for taxes. I think it's disgusting. You guys just give out money, but when something like a leaky roof needs to be fixed, you're going to put it off. That's all I really got to say on that one. But You guys already done it, so what's the point? This is a doozy one. Brock, you talk about your code of conduct. You're the biggest person. You're the one that makes all these comments about code of conduct, that, you know, there's gotta be some kind of code of conduct and everything else, but 4 emails I sent off to you to stop emailing and harassing me. I had to send the police to you to stop harassing me. You wanna talk about code of conduct? It's disgusting. It's a code of conduct. He brought it up today in the meeting about code of conduct. And I'm making a point about the code of conduct. You gonna shut me up? He brought up the code of
If you're
conduct.
going into an area of legal,
No, it's not legal. I'm just telling you, he's bringing up something about the code of conduct. I'm allowed to talk about it. He brought it up, not me. So he's talking about code of conduct, about cutting people off, and it should be stopped and everything else. He's a paid counselor that gets paid to represent the people. So when somebody says something, he shuts them up, and then he sends out private emails, offensive emails, and then when I ask him not to send me them, he keeps sending them. So he's breaking a code of conduct. He's a counselor. No.
if it's private,
It's not private. It's true. It's
just
not private.
because he's a council member does not take away that if he wants to have communication that's separate from the council, and if it's
It had to do
separate
with
from the
council.
council.
It had to do with council. It had to do with council. It had to do with council. I made a comment about what should happen, and he land-based me in a private message. I posted on the Wing of Free Press for everybody to see it, that he was a coward, that he wouldn't, I said, and I asked him, I says, if you're gonna do this, do it publicly, don't go behind council, or don't behind closed doors. He wouldn't do it. I found it disgusting. It was really disgusting and upsetting that this man is representing the town of North Huron and made a comment about the North Huron, and he's using internet. He broke code of conduct. Let's put it that way. And he's talking about conduct. So that's all I gotta say about that. You're gonna shut me up, and I know you're gonna shut me up, so I'm just gonna shut it down. You guys are good at shutting people up. Number 4, innovation for North Huron. Wow. Gary, how many times have I come to you to talk about bringing something that's good for the community? I can tell you right today, I had 2 businesses prospects coming out to my house needing oranges for my greenhouse. No problem. You want innovation. I grow tropical fruit. Fireside Cafe is putting me on their Winterlicious menu and everything else. That I'm giving them tropical fruit, bananas, pineapples, you name it. I'm giving it to them to put it on their Winterlicious. It's going to support the community. You want to talk about innovations? How many times have you slammed me down? Over 200 jobs could be brought here, but you slam it down because you're not going to make 1 cent off of it. Not 1 cent you're going to make off of it.
Terry, that's not true.
Really?
We met with staff, we had a good meeting with you.
Really?
Another
Have I got anywhere with it? Have I got anywhere with it?
We asked you for a detailed business plan.
I gave it to you. Somebody misplaced it. Why should I keep handing up stuff? If you got incompetent staff that can't hold on to stuff, I'm not going to keep giving stuff back to you. Really, I'm not. You want to talk about innovation and everything else? Listen, it's innovation. Who else do you know in Canada that can grow this stuff on a mass production, like bananas, oranges, pineapples, and everything else? It's great for the community. It'll make North Huron stand out and everything else. So, you guys talk about you want this, you want that, you want. I bring something here, I show you, and everything else. I bring a plan and everything else, and it's over a year later, 2 meetings, and still nothing has happened.
Well, staff are not the ones holding this up, Terry. We're in favor of economic development.
Really?
Provide us with a business plan, you let us know what you need. and
I've
that can be part
already
of the
provided you with a
discussion.
business plan. I've already provided you with a business plan. Why should I provide another one?
We're not the ones holding it up.
Well, I just told you, you're asking for a business plan. I've provided you with a business plan. So now you want another one. How many do I got to give?
It's your business idea, and we support you, and
Support me. You support me. You want innovation, but you want everybody to drive through hoops. Maybe I should, it's a $7 million project with the greenhouses and everything else, and Dave Black, who's not here, wanted me to spend 1% of the money for an engineering fee. Isn't that correct, Gary? for a road study?
There's a cost of development, and we need you and other developers to incur those costs. There's planning and development costs. There's a process. We need you to follow that process.
So you want me to do your work, in other words, because as Connie stated at that meeting, that you have these people that are building a subdivision, they're jumping through hoops and everything else because they don't know how it works. So you're telling them what they have to do, so they're doing it. But you can't tell me what to do. This is my business on my property, and you're upset because it's not going to be a commercial operation. So I wouldn't put a commercial store in so that you can get your taxes off of it. You're upset about that in the meeting last year. It was brought up about this year again when we had another meeting on it. But in all reality, you keep saying you want. Bernie, I really think that it's a good idea to get rid of the airport and to bring in some work and all that. But you're not going to get it with these councils. Ray and you are but the only ones on here that really want to do something for the area. Everybody else doesn't seem to want nothing. You're laughing at me because you're
not laughing at you.
What have you done? Besides, like, have a blog.
That's out of order.
Done.
Other questions? Denny?
Just back to Trevor's question about the fire report. Would any of the information not be provided? I know that maybe locations.
The information provided here is all information that would be accessible through the fire marshal's office as well.
Okay.
So anything that goes out by email will ensure that it retains privacy, but almost all the information you get here is stuff that if you wanted to access through the fire marshal's office, you could.
Okay. Thank you.
Anybody else? Question or comment? Okay. We have a significant in-camera session coming up, so we have a motion to go in camera. Rodden and Hallahan, all in favor? Okay, we'll have a short recess. We'll go into